I posted a short of me talking about the bench press and hating on it. I got the most
Really
hateful comments. I pissed off all kinds of people by poo-pooing on the bench press. But the reason I don't like the bench press is you're laying down on your back. So if we think about functional everyday life, like being able to do stuff, generally we got to be standing up.
Yeah, if you bench press, you're a pussy. We heard it here first. If you don't problem with that, you talk to this guy.
All right, hello and welcome to Healthiest. I'm here with my good friend Wes, and we're going to go over some exercise stuff today, and we're going to talk about motivation. Because motivation, like that's hard for a lot of people, especially if you're super busy like you are, because you're like one of the busiest guys I know, quite honestly.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, and you have 4 kids?
Yeah, 4 kids.
4 kids, young kids.
Yeah, young and all the way teenagers.
And the hardest thing for you is just finding the time, or is it literally like if you had the time, do you feel like you would do more?
Like finding the time consistently, I think is the hardest thing, because I can do it. Like one day I'll go for it, and then I'll have a couple of days, but then something will happen where it's like takes up a bunch of my time, and then getting back into it or like stepping aside for like on the busy days. Because like really like I could at least do 15 minutes every day if I need, like I could find that time. But it's like if something takes me away where I'm traveling or something like that, then I don't do it for a couple of days. Getting back on and staying, with the weird schedule that I have is damn near impossible.
Would it be, so do you think going to because you travel a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're always on the road, right?
Right.
How many weeks out of the month are you on the road? Just to give people context.
I just drive, on like this week, 3 out of the last 4 days, I had to drive at least 2 hours away.
Wow. Yeah.
And then come back and, do everything with the kids, make dinner and all that stuff. Because Kayla's been working. So
yeah,
it's just those days are like, and then tomorrow, maybe the podcast will make me feel really motivated tomorrow to go do it again. Like tonight, I did do a walk. That was like, I got to do something, because I tried to work out a little bit and I was just so tired. I was like, whatever. I'm like out of time. I have to go. I had to drive to Greensboro today, or Greensville or something. I don't know. There's a lot of greens.
There are. Yeah. If you live in North Carolina, there's a lot of green. If you travel like you do, what stops you from going to maybe stopping in a gym, like doing a drop-in?
Never thought of it.
Cool.
To having the shower and all that stuff, the time. It's usually like I have this certain amount of time to go and then come back, but I never really thought about just adding that in. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, even if you just stop for like a half an hour and you don't even necessarily have to sweat, but like you did some resistance training, like you just go through and do some lifting.
Okay, let's do that. Let's say it's a day where it's like, it feels impossible to do a full-on workout. Like today felt like that. And so what could be something that I could do that wouldn't make me sweat so much, but I could like still get a decent, keep me saying I at least did this.
Yeah. I think just doing some resistance training.
Resistance, okay.
Yeah. And there's lots of different exercises that you can do. And I think there's some really good ones that you should focus on.
Okay.
That you don't necessarily have to sweat. So it would literally be going in the gym and like maybe choosing 1 or 2 different exercises and just focusing on those 2 things and just get in somewhere between 10 and 20 sets of those.
Okay.
And if you could just do that, that's something. And you probably won't even sweat, because when you're just doing resistance training, you can take quite a bit of time in between, because if you're trying to lift heavy things, a lot of times, especially if you're kind of newer, you don't want to, the goal is not to just do this fatigued and at high heart rate. You generally want to take a little bit of extra time in between sets.
Give me an example of resistance workout exercise.
So there's when we look at the human body and we look at the performance of the human body, there's 3 kind of areas that we want to improve. We want to improve someone's strength, which is what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. We want to improve someone's power, and there's a strength component in power. Okay, so strength, power is a combination of strength and speed. So we want strength, we want power, and then we also want endurance. Right? Yeah. So you could technically work on any sort of strength thing or any sort of power thing. And for someone who's really doesn't have a lot of time, we want to do only the things that are going to deliver the biggest bang for the buck.
Okay.
Right. So if like you got 30 minutes that you could jump into a gym and you can do a few things, I only want you to do the good stuff.
Okay.
Right. So here's kind of the way I look at this. Who are the strongest people in the world? And I'm sure you probably don't know, but
We talked about this.
we did. Yeah.
The wrestlers.
They're very strong. Yeah, no doubt. And let's define strength, because I think that's really important too. So if we define strength as your ability to move external objects, like heavy stuff, right? Because there's like calisthenics, that's a certain kind of strength, but the really strong people can lift the heaviest shit.
Power lifters, is that?
That's exactly right. Yeah. So the power lifters, the 3 contested lifts in powerlifting is the deadlift. Basically, it's like leaning over, grabbing onto something, and being able to stand up with it.
Okay.
So there's even a lot of real life utility to a deadlift, right? The human body, it's kind of like, I consider it to be like built in our DNA, that we're meant to hinge forward, grab something on the floor, and be able to stand up with it. And if you're really strong, you can pick up really heavy shit without blowing yourself up.
Okay.
Right? Like without hurting yourself. When I say blow yourself up, I just mean hurting yourself. Right? So we want to practice the deadlift because that's what makes people really, really strong. Hence the strongest people in the world deadlift ridiculous amounts of weight. There's the back squat, which is where you've got a bar on your shoulders and you squat down and then you stand back up.
Okay.
Right. And again, in the world of powerlifting, I mean, the guys are squatting, I think it's over 1,000 pounds. It's insane, right? You can get incredibly strong practicing the back squat. Now, I don't suggest you go out and just put 1,000 pounds in the bar. Maybe ease into that a little bit. Yeah, just a little.
Never. That'll never happen.
Maybe a whole lot of steroids.
Yeah. Right.
Next time you see Wes, he's going to be like jacked. Back squat, and then the other one in the world of powerlifting, and I think we did talk about this before, but there's the bench press. But I don't like the bench press. Yeah. You remember me saying that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I posted a short of me talking about the bench press and hating on it. I got the most
really
hateful comments. I pissed off all kinds of people by poo-pooing on the bench press. But the reason I don't like the bench press is you're laying down on your back. So if we think about functional everyday life, like being able to do stuff, generally we got to be standing up.
Yeah, if you bench press, you're a pussy. We heard it here first. If you have a problem with that, you talk to this guy.
Yeah. So what I like to do is the standing overhead press.
Okay.
So you're standing up. Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of core strength. You have to be able to control your spine and your pelvis, and then be able to push really, really heavy weight over your head. There's so much more real life utility to that than laying on your back on a bench and pushing weight off your chest.
Like a bitch.
We're going to get so much hate for this one. Bring it on.
I love the bench press. I don't know what he.
There you go. Yeah.
No, I'm just.
So strength-wise, I would pick maybe 2 or 3, probably just 2 of those.
And do 10 or 20 sets, something like that.
Yeah.
What would be like, okay, if you were starting out, if you were me, you would start probably with the bar, huh?
That's a great question. I think to really make this work the best is probably spend some time with a coach to figure out how to do those movements, because there are some nuance to them. If you don't know what you're doing and you put too much weight on the bar, you do too many sets, like there's all kinds of ways that you could hurt yourself.
Yeah, I picture my back like really mad at me if I tried that stuff without.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be a little bit careful, and I think they get a bad rap because not a lot of people, I mean, we can watch YouTube videos and we see people squatting and we're like, oh, well, that makes sense. You just bend your knees and you stand back up. Like it, when you just see somebody else doing it, you assume that it's fairly simple, but it's really not. There's a lot of nuance to it. There's a lot of ways and a lot of things that you have to kind of watch for and pay attention to in order to be, 2 things, as efficient as possible, because efficiency is what really makes you strong really, really quickly. But then also there's a safety component to it as well. So you have to really learn what you're doing. And one of the ways that I teach it, and I've taught it for years, is just by using a wooden stick.
Okay.
So just practice the positions, practice the skills like anything else. Once you know the skills, then you can gradually progress yourself up in weight.
Okay. How fast are the reps?
It's a good question. Again, it kind of comes, some of that comes back to, it's a skill. When you first start, slower is better. And I'll actually have people pause. So let's just say a squat. I might have you standing up tall, learning how to brace up, right, with the bar on your back or just the wooden stick on your back. And we'll talk about some different positional things there. And then I might have you squat down and we're going to hold that low position. So it's going to be very slow. And we're even pausing.
Okay. During the rep.
Yeah, during the rep. Yeah.
Okay. Because I've heard that time under tension is like a big deal when working out. What is your theories on that?
There's something there, but we're talking about kind of two different things.
Okay.
So learning the skill, if you think of movements as just a series of positions,
Okay.
right? So like standing up is the start position of a back squat, squatting down, being in the low position is the end position of a back squat, right? Mm-hmm. So hold the top, hold the bottom, learn how to brace up and stabilize in both those positions. And then we just move through that whole thing.
Okay.
When you're new, super, super slow. As you get better at it, you can start to increase the speed.
Gotcha.
But first, I wouldn't worry about speed at all.
Okay.
And like when you really get good at it, like really good lifters, the power lifts, again, the squat, the deadlift, and the overhead press, they're called the slow lifts.
Okay.
Because once you get to a certain weight, no matter how freaking fast you try to be, it's slow.
Yeah.
Like a 1 rep max deadlift from the floor, 1 rep max just means like the most amount of weight that you can lift. If you watch somebody like a good lifter, like somebody who's seasoned, try to do that, it might take them 7 seconds to get that bar off the floor and into a standing position.
Okay.
It's just...
So it doesn't really matter. Like if you're doing 10 reps though, you would just go at the pace that's safe for your body to...
Yeah, if you're new, it'd be a little bit slower. But generally what I recommend is real life speed. I say real life speed. Because when you go down, like if you're going to pick up your kids off the floor, like, you've got a baby on the floor having a tantrum. Have you ever had that happen?
Not since I got here.
But you gotta walk over and you just grab it, right? Like,
yeah.
So real life speed, I think, is what we're ultimately trying to chase.
Not like if they're on the street laying down and there's a car coming.
Yeah, that would be really fast.
Yeah, that would be emergency life speed.
Yeah. Okay. But if you've got somebody, like if you watch the sport of CrossFit, where there's a clock, so you might have a workout where there's a bunch of deadlifts in there and they might be relatively heavy. Like there's been workouts where you do like 50 deadlifts at 225 pounds.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And like if you're a really good deadlifter, like if you really know what you're doing, there are guys that can knock that out like really fast. Like ding, 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 ding. Yeah. So based on your skill level, you can increase speed as long as you know what you're doing. Huh?
Like I would never have thought you could be, to be good at deadlifting. I never think about it like that.
Yeah. I think most people don't, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the disconnect for me sometimes is I think about that stuff so much and I kind of take it for granted, but I have to remember that other people don't think about the nuance of a deadlift.
It's like a sport. Where
totally.
I would never think about it like that, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Do they have like CrossFit cards?
Cards?
Yeah. Like trading cards?
I don't think so. Not that I know of.
There's no.
Maybe they do. I'm not on one.
There's no Tony Bevilacqua rookie card out there.
There's definitely not any of me on there.
I'm gonna have you sign it.
Yeah. Maybe when I'm 80, because that's the age group where there's less people. Mm-hmm. So if I can hold on till I'm 80, I might have a chance.
I think you will.
Yeah. Maybe I go to the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
They
have 80-year-olds.
I think it's 70 plus division is the high one.
Yeah. Do people watch that?
I don't think so.
Because I'd kind of like to watch it. Actually,
it's actually really interesting. I've got a gentleman who almost made it this year, who's doing amazing. He's 71 now.
Wow. And
the only thing he couldn't get, it's a skill thing. He doesn't have his double unders. So double unders is with a jump rope. Every time you jump up in the air, the rope has to go around twice. Yeah. So like
71. His
strength is off the charts. His power is off the charts. His endurance is off the charts. But if you're missing a skill,
dang,
you're out.
Wow.
If you don't know how to do the double under, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
In that sport.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So to swing it back though, like that's what I would do. Like I would, learn how to do the deadlift, learn how to squat well, practice those things. And I would love to teach you how to deadlift. I would love it. Like I live for that. I live for teaching people how to deadlift and squat and clean and snatch and pull up and all these things. There's so much nuance to it. And as you may know, like I worked with a lot of high level athletes and some of them went to the CrossFit Games, and many of them, I had multiple top 10 USA weightlifters.
Wow.
But the only way that you can get people to those levels is to really kind of nerd out on those things. Like you really have to know what you're doing and you have to know how to teach it. right? It's one thing like, not all the best athletes are the best coaches.
Sure.
But you have to really kind of, when you really understand all that, you can create a ton of efficiency and a ton of safety, and you can make legit badasses, like legit badasses.
What types of athletes have you worked with? Like NFL players or anything like that?
I haven't worked with any NFL players, but a lot of D1,
Oh, okay.
D1 football, D1 basketball. We had a guy in Milwaukee who was a basketball player, but mostly a lot of football players.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
wrestlers.
has it always been over 40, or is that did that start at a later time?
Yeah, the over 40 started in 2018. I think it was 18 or 19.
Nice.
Yeah, but before that, it was all
Just
younger.
Yeah.
I worked with some older folks too, but because I started in '99.
Okay.
So in '99, I was just like a personal trainer at a gym, and I was working with a lot of older folks then. And then when I started getting into one of my biggest frustrations was I graduated with a degree in exercise science. And I think I might have mentioned this to you before, but you graduate with a degree in fitness, but nobody knows what fitness is.
Yeah.
Like that was really frustrating for me because fitness was kind of like, well, just can you get someone to lose weight? And I'm like, I'm not, that's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Like just, eat less, eat good food. Like
for being an asshole.
yeah, right. Like,
Quit eating pizza at the party.
yeah, exactly.
Cake.
Like,
We were at a party
it's kind of
yesterday.
boring. Like, I don't want to be a nutritionist. I want to be a performance guy.
No, we were at a birthday party yesterday, and I hadn't eaten all day. I had a long day.
That's right.
And I come in, and there's pizza, and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna eat a piece of pizza. I know it. So I was like, whatever. And so, I sit down, and Tony's like, you don't have to eat that. And I was like, I know, but my mind was made up as soon as I saw it. And then the cake comes, and he's like, you don't have to do that, And like,
But you didn't eat that, did you?
oh God, I ate the whole thing. So it was just another weak moment. I just couldn't help it.
Yeah.
I next time I know, just fucking eat before the birthday party.
Yeah. Like that's a great strategy.
Yeah.
I use that one often.
I should have just gotten a big, huge snack before. But by then I was like, I would eat just about anything. And it was like peanut butter cake. It was delicious.
Looked really good.
It was. But he didn't eat any. I was really impressed. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but we did have some of that lava chocolate.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did. I had some delicious lava cake. Is that what it's called? Lava cake?
Yeah.
It was really good.
It's like I don't even remember what day that was, but
Yeah, it was delicious. Yeah, it was amazing. So every once in a while, I'm not perfect. Not this guy, not perfect.
still,
Not perfect.
yeah.
But I think we talked about it before. Like I call myself like the healthiest motherfucker on the planet.
Yeah.
And like I literally try to live that way.
Yeah. I would say I would like to see somebody else that is more healthy.
I think they're out there. But again, like if you talk to them, they'd probably say the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just a healthy guy.
I feel like if they are
Healthy fit dude.
I don't feel like it's possible, because if they are, then that means they're like being healthier for longer, maybe. And that means they're sleeping less, which is less healthy, because there's only so many hours in the day.
It's true.
If you're healthy for 24 of them.
But you know what the big win really is that I found over the years, because I've been doing this for so long, working with others and just keeping myself in great shape. But it's the long game,
Yeah.
because I look back over my career I'll be 50 in, I don't know, a month or so. And there were so many people that I looked up to over the years, like athletes and all kinds of different people. And when I got in the sport of CrossFit and the sport of weightlifting, I had all kinds of people that I looked up to then. And a lot of those people are no longer even in the game.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are overweight, and a lot of them are like, the big win is in the long game. Like the person that can stay fit and healthy for a lifetime, to me, that's the big win.
When did you know you wanted to go into fitness? Inside joke.
Yeah. I think when I went to college, I originally went for criminal justice.
Really?
And I did one semester of criminal justice, and I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't want to be around a bunch of bad guys.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't my vibe. Like, and I luckily figured it out pretty quickly. And then I'm like, I was an athlete in high school, and I swam in college just for a brief time because I started drinking a lot. But I still liked human performance, and I like sport, and I liked all that stuff. So I'm like, I'm just going to try fitness. And I actually fell in love with it. I really, really liked it.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then just never look back. Like I fall in love with it more and more it seems as time goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Like it's
cool.
something that just never goes away. Like you really like writing,
Yeah.
being creative. Like I was you've written multiple books.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm always so fascinated because Wes has this amazing, like creative brain. And I feel like I have a very logical brain and I struggle with creativity sometimes. So it's so cool that to have somebody, who's a friend who's got that other kind of side of the brain. Like I just find that so interesting.
Yeah. That's what I like about your technical side. Cause I'm like, that escapes me. That is research and
Opposites attract, right? Like,
yeah. I
yeah.
feel like some yin yang,
Yeah, it's so cool though.
Yeah.
Like, that's what makes the world such a cool place.
Mhm.
Like there's so many different people and so many different kind of thoughts and ideas. And if people are cool, like how awesome is that?
I know.
Like it's so awesome.
Yeah. It's nice to meet cool people.
Yeah, cool people for the win.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I've always been into, but going back to human performance. When I first got into personal training, there was no direction as to what fitness was. Like you would sit down with your client and you'd be like, hey, Wes, so what are your goals?
I'd be like, try not to be a big fat ass that eats pizza.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, great. Another guy that wants to lose weight or another girl that wants to lose weight, right? Because I work with men and women.
Yeah. No, I do. I would like to it would be good to just feel capable, of like in shape. Like, where it's like, yeah, you can have some lava cake at the party because it's not going to affect you because it's just, you're not the guy that has a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you do, if I have a moment of discretion, which indiscretion, if I have a moment of indiscretion, for me, it's like water off a duck, like, because I just know that I'm going to be good for the next,
10 years.
Yeah. Like, these little kind of indiscretions when you've been living this way for so long, it doesn't even really faze you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, when I was working with these clients and I would ask, I used to ask people what their goals were. And now I'll kind of do it out of nicety, but I'm not, to be honest, I'm not really that. It's like ask people what they want and give them what they need.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you already know kind of what they need.
Yeah.
So why not just be like, just do what I tell you.
Yeah. It's more of a nicety. Like if I would ask people back then when I got out of college, I would have to like try to structure the workout to burn the most calories, right? Like if weight loss was their goal. And, that was kind of the thing. So, we do cardio or whatever.
I feel like that's like what an expert does though. Like they tell you what you need because like I remember
You would hope.
like with Kayla with the photography, it would be like, first you would, oh, what do you want? And then it would be like 100 different things with no direction. Kind of like I felt when you asked me that, but then it's like, oh, here's what I think you should do.
Yeah.
And then it's like a guide. It's better.
Yeah.
Like if I went to go fly fishing, which we do, and I can't imagine the guide being like, well, what do you think we should do?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he would be like, use this and go here.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of like what I found is it's the same tools for the job for basically any goal that anyone has, any reason, for the most part, 99.9% of any reason why someone is working out or eating better or just taking better care of themselves, the path is pretty much the same.
yeah.
Right? Like if you want to lose weight, if you want to get fitter, if you want to look better, if you want to be more ripped, if you want to be stronger, if you want to perform better at your sport, if you want to be whatever it is, if you want to be a better dad, like work out, eat good food and sleep at night. Like I mean, it's the concept is simple. There's obviously strategies and ways to go about that.
Like that's my problem. I'm spending I probably spend enough time to go work out as I do trying to think of how can you make cheesecake healthy?
Yeah. Well, what I find is like, it's incredible how we can tell ourselves stories to justify anything, literally anything.
Yeah.
Right. Like we never want to be the bad guy in our own mind.
Right.
Right. So if we do something that doesn't add up, we'll come up with a story that's pretty damn compelling to ourselves. And I'm guilty of it. Right.
Oh yeah. Like if it's like on Halloween, sometimes if I like for me, I know I'm in the worst. Like I'm just not caring at all if I have candy of any kind.
Yeah.
Like if I'll allow myself, like I haven't had candy in over a month at least. I probably 2 now, but like before I was eating whatever, which I knew I was in a bad spot. I'm definitely like, that's how I got to the highest I've ever weighed,
Yeah.
most out of shape ever.
Pull that up a little higher.
But,
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Cool.
Here we go. Do it like NPR. Yeah. So, and then I gained too much weight. But
Confessions.
so, but then I'd be like, all right, I can't eat the kids' Halloween candy anymore, right? Or would I have a bag of candy? But then I'd be like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna eat it all tonight, and then tomorrow it'll be gone.
Right?
Yeah. Those are the stories. Yeah. You tell yourself.
Yeah. And we're all guilty of it. Like we all do something, in some way. Yeah. It's so funny how the human body, the brain will justify our actions.
Yeah, exactly. Like I make cheesecakes and I'm like, if I subbed out the sugar for stevia and then just put some of those Oikos triple protein.
Then you're good.
Yeah, right.
Then you're good. Yeah. I wish that were the case, but
no,
just not be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think, again, it's gotta be like, it's gotta be important enough to want to live that life. I call it the athlete life, right? Like if you want to be that, like if you walk down the street and you see somebody, you're like, man, I wish I could be that in shape, or I wish, like if you have that feeling, you're literally one decision away from being that person. You just have to make I call it a powerful decision. Like you have to make a powerful decision and be like, enough is enough. Like I'm drawing a line in the sand. I'm no longer going to be this version of myself. I'm going to live a healthy life. And then you just do the things that a healthy person would do. Like you do that every single freaking day and you just keep going. And the next thing you know, you're like, you're that guy.
Yeah.
Like it works. And I've seen it work, not just on myself. I've seen it work on so many people. People come in the gym, if they make that powerful decision, I'll give you an example. Like I had this girl, she came into the gym and she came with her dad. She was like 13 years old and she was a really good gymnast. And she's like, I don't want to be a gymnast anymore. I want to try this thing called CrossFit.
Okay.
Right. And her dad's like, I just want to bring her in here and kind of show her what it is. Because she had seen it on TV. Right. She didn't want to do gymnastics anymore. And so I start working with her, and gymnasts have great body awareness. So when I teach them something like deadlifting or squatting or pull-ups or all the different things that we do in CrossFit, there's lots of different skills, which is why I love CrossFit so much. There's all these skills that you can really kind of nerd out on. A gymnast picks up that stuff really fast.
Okay.
And one of the toughest things are the Olympic lifts. And the Olympic lifts are the clean and jerk and snatch.
Okay.
Talked about that before, right? Yes. So watch the Olympics. You can see the guys and the girls doing those two lifts. And that's usually it's a very complicated set of movements that you got to get. It takes quite a bit of practice. And I remember I got this girl and I've got her just using a 15-pound bar and I'm taking her through the various positions and we're kind of drilling it. And within 5 minutes, she's like just nailing it.
Really?
And I've never seen this before. I'm like,
wow.
Holy crap. Like this girl's just getting it. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's put a little bit of weight on. She's like 13 years old. And I've got her like snatching and clean and jerking weight at 13 years old. And she's doing it like perfect. Like, maybe not perfect, but like really, really good.
Okay.
Yeah. And it turns out she became world class. But what was interesting with that story was there was a point in time, and I'm going to say maybe a few weeks after working with her, and she's like, because I asked her, like, where do you want to go with this? Because she was really getting into it. Like, she really loved it. And I'm like, where do you see yourself kind of going with this? Like, do you want to really compete? Like, do you want to be and then we had started having the conversation about being a competitive weightlifter and a competitive CrossFitter.
Okay.
And she's like, I want to compete in both. And she goes, and I want to be the best in both. And I'm like, really? I'm like, are you sure that that's what you want? She goes, yeah, I want my name on the shirt. And I'm like, wow. And she was like 13 years old, maybe 14, and just dead face, dead serious. She made a powerful decision that that's what's going to happen. And she became top 10 weightlifter in the country and I think she was top, I can't remember what she was, but she's a world-class CrossFit.
Wow.
Been to multiple CrossFit games. So she made it to that level, but it took a long time.
How long has the CrossFit Games been going on?
2006, I think, was the first one.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. When is evolved.
When are they?
I think they're getting ready to start soon. I don't follow it as much as I used to because I've been kind of out of that world for a while.
Yeah. How long does it last? Is it like a long?
It used to be 5 days.
Okay.
So kind of the idea is what's interesting, going back to what fitness is.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, because I think it's kind of an interesting conversation, but maybe I asked you before, but what do you think it means to be fit? Like, what is fit?
To be healthy and to have good strength, power, and endurance to have balanced
Yeah,
all three of those.
that's a really good explanation, quite honestly. Yeah, and you can measure that stuff. So what was interesting about CrossFit was they wanted to find the fittest people in the world.
Yeah.
So the founder of CrossFit found the CrossFit Games.
Okay.
And what I loved about the CrossFit Games was this concept of showing up and not knowing what the events are going to be, not knowing how many events are going to be. And I think in the first few, they didn't even know how many days it was going to be. Like, it was like you show up and you're like, what are we doing?
You just got to be ready for anything.
Yeah. And in the first couple of CrossFit Games, they had a hopper. You know what a hopper is?
Like, is it one of those like lottery things where
Yeah.
you spin and pull a ball out and it's like, 2,000 burpees?
Exactly.
Okay.
So they stuffed this hopper full of stuff, and somebody was turning the wheel, and the founder would pull out. And
so it could be like the hardest 5 things in a row.
You don't know what they're going to be.
Dang, that's crazy.
And it could be a long endurance event, could be a strength event, could be a power event, could be a combination of all of those things. Could be a run up the hill with a sandbag. Like, there is no off limits. And the hypothesis is the person that performs the best over the course of those 5 days, and they test all kinds of different things, is the fittest human being in the world.
Huh.
Now, that's evolved a little bit, and I think it's gotten better because the tests of fitness have gotten so much better. So now when you go through a 5-day CrossFit Games, I think it's very hard to argue that the guy and the girl that wins that, hands down, is the fittest human being walking on this planet.
Well,
Because they've got world-class strength, they've got world-class power, they can run, they can do all kinds of endurance stuff. They've got an engine of it's incredible.
they should like win an action movie or something.
Yeah. They're literally superheroes.
Yeah.
It's cool. Just crazy superheroes. That's like a whole, that's obviously the top of the top. And now there's a genetic component to it. It's become like a professional sport now. So the athletes they're literally training all the time.
Round.
Yeah.
Sure.
Back in the day, you could get away with training a few hours. Like, I had a chance back in the day.
And I guess they get sponsored. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's big money now in the sponsorships.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the top guys.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. Like maybe top 2.
Yeah.
But it's really fun. I love it. Human performance is just one of my loves.
Yeah.
Yeah. To see people perform at the highest of level is so cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's so cool. It's so fun. And if I can, it's so my gym evolved into training a lot of these kinds of athletes, and getting into weightlifting, clean and jerk and snatch. These are these really technical lifts. And if you're a biomechanics nerd, like if you really enjoy human movement, gymnastics and CrossFit, they're great because there's so many movements, and the more efficient you can make someone, the better they perform.
Okay.
Right. And then weightlifting is like this highly technical skill with the barbell.
Huh.
There's so much like little detail to those movements.
That's so crazy. I never thought about that.
Yeah, there's so much. And the way that the competitions go are super interesting too, because it's like this chess match when you're competing against, when you're at a meet.
How do you win? It's like you finish first?
Yeah, so you have two lifts, the snatch and the clean and jerk.
Okay.
And you have 3 attempts in the snatch, and you have 3 attempts in the clean and jerk.
Okay.
Your heaviest one of each of those is your score.
Okay.
So you can get a medal for a snatch, you can get a medal for a clean and jerk, and you can get a medal for what's called the total when they add the 2 together.
Okay.
Okay. So if you
we already told these jokes in another podcast. You have to watch them. So I'll bite my tongue.
I've been hearing these jokes for like 20 years.
Sorry, I was just thinking about getting those medals, like, all right.
So many jokes.
Okay. Sorry.
And if you've never heard of those, I totally get it. Like,
Yeah.
we laughed about it forever for so long. I'm going to PR my snatch tonight.
I'm going to get the highest jerk.
Yeah. Lift the heaviest of weights when I jerk.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get 3 contested lifts, and you have to call out what you're going to lift, right? So I have to tell the judge, like, okay, my next attempt is going to be
like 1,000,
100 kilos. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'm going to lift 100 kilos. So then you put 100 kilos on the bar, you go out there, you make it or you don't. If you don't make it, mentally, that's a line. Like, if you miss, you can never go down in weight. You can only go up in weight.
Really?
Or you can stay the same. Yeah. But you got other people competing with you. So if they see that you missed your 100 kilos, the person right after you might say, I'm going to go 100 kilos, and maybe they'll hit it. Or maybe they'll say, I'm going to go 101 kilos.
Yeah.
Right. Or they'll go 102 kilos, so it's just kind of like
the Price is Right.
Yeah. You got to kind of play this game. And, that's like a big mental part.
So you want to go last.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's ways to kind of play around with that too.
Really?
Yeah. Because you only, when the competition starts, the bar starts at the lightest weight. So all the athletes put in their first lifts before the meet starts.
So you got to guess what the other people are going to say. And all
Well, you'll be able to see it when you get there.
Okay.
Yeah, they call it a start list. So you'll be able to see everybody's lifts, but you can also change them. So you have a little bit of time to kind of, so that's where it gets interesting too, is like people are changing their lifts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the bar will start at like 40 kilos and then it just
do they do it all in kilos?
Yeah. Sport weightlifting is kilos.
Yeah. Sport lifting is kilos. Okay.
Yeah.
So can you convert kilos to pounds really quick?
Up to a certain point.
Yeah.
I actually like kilos better because the numbers are smaller.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Pounds, the numbers are, you get into triple digits really fast.
What's 1 kilo per pound?
2.2 pounds per kilo.
How'd they come up with that? Is it
no idea.
Feet and all that shit?
I don't know. It's metric system.
No.
I don't know. But actually, all these weights in here are kilos.
Interesting. I never noticed that.
Kilo nerd.
Hey,
Sport weightlifting.
probably makes more sense.
Yeah. So in our gym, we had the weightlifting area, which is all kilos because we had a bunch of competitive weightlifters, and then we had the CrossFit area, which is all pounds. So you get pretty good at going back and forth.
Dude, tell me, okay, before we started the podcast tonight, Tony was telling me about if you do CrossFit like too hard, your muscles will explode. I want you to explode.
Well, it's not just CrossFit, right?
Or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, like if you exit, there's this thing called rhabdomyolysis. Okay, and rhabdomyolysis is where your muscle tissue, just to keep it to make it super simple, like your cells literally explode. Like you damage your muscles so badly that there's all these waste products that get spilled into your bloodstream, right? And all your blood, all these cells, all this damaged tissue has to get filtered out. And your kidneys is a big job of filtering out the stuff. So your kidneys can actually fail and you can die if you work yourself too hard. And in the world of CrossFit, I'm going to say it's very rare, but I know people that have had this condition. And I was telling Wes about a friend of mine who was he was a college wrestler. He'd been out of wrestling for a while, and he was getting really into triathlons. So he's doing a lot of these long distance events are low power, but they're very, very long, right? Yeah. So it's usually the higher power, heavier stuff that tends to really damage muscle tissue. Now it can certainly happen with if somebody who doesn't practice running a marathon and they go out and try to run a marathon, it could happen to them too. But usually it happens kind of in lifting. So this guy goes out and he does this workout that I give him. I write this workout on this piece of paper and I give it to him like, dude, you got to try this because it's super hard. And I had just done it before and it just smoked me. So I'm like, you got to try this thing. And wrestlers have this crazy mindset where they're he was a college wrestler, so he made it to a pretty high level. And they're just some of the toughest MFers in the world. Yeah. These guys they just don't know the word quit. They never stop. So he goes out and he does this workout. He comes back in my office and he's like, dude, that was brutal. It's I'm smoked. And I'm like, isn't it great? So he goes, and then he comes back a couple days later and his arm is it just blew up, his elbow, up in his bicep, down his forearm was just giant compared to his other arm. And he's like, hey man, you know what, what's this all about? And I'm like, holy crap, what happened to your arm? And his wife was there. And I'm like, you need to go see somebody for that. And his wife goes, I told him to do that. So he went to the ER and he was in the hospital for 3 days.
And then he died.
He did not. Shout out to Mike. I hope you're not dead.
I know.
But yeah, it's real. It happens. But I think from 99.9% of people never have to worry about that.
I think I want to write a story about a guy that's in the woods and a bear's chasing him, and then he dies from rhabdomyolysis.
Dies from rhabdomyolysis.
Pushed himself too hard to escape the bear, and then his muscles explode, and his kidneys fail. And then the bear eats him.
The bear doesn't want to eat him because he tastes
then
bad.
He dies because he's poisoned.
Yeah. It's a real thing. It happens, but usually it happens to really mentally tough people who don't know the word quit. They just push themselves so hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
And they're not in like really good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a study that they did many years ago on Navy SEALs because there's a specific marker that they look for in the blood. I think it's called creatine kinase. I think you have to double check that because I can't remember, but I think that's what it is. But the normal level is like, let's say, and I'm just throwing these numbers out there. Don't take my word on this, but it's like 70, right?
Okay.
Like that's normal. This guy had like my friend had like 250,000. Like it goes off the charts.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like it's that dramatic. But they did this research study on Navy SEALs. I think it was Navy SEALs. It might have been Green Berets. It was some special operators. And they went through some really hard training and then they tested all those levels. And those guys got up to like 100,000. But none of them had any symptoms. So it's kind of interesting.
Wow.
Is that the hypothesis is maybe you can, if somebody is in really good shape, you adapt to some of these severe stressors. Like physically, your body is just better at handling stress.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because these guys, apparently it didn't even phase them. And they should have been in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah. So it's interesting how the body can adapt to heavy, hard training.
Yeah. In like 100 years, what do you think the body would be capable of?
Right. Yeah. Well, I think where it's going is I think genetics, when they figure out how to modify your genome, that's where it's going to get bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Jesus.
yeah, you could basically you could manipulate genes for once they figure this whole thing out. You're going to be able to, like, you'll sit down with your wife at the doctor's office and you'd be like, so what color eyes? How big do you want his biceps?
Yeah.
Right? Like do you want to be a marathon runner or a weightlifter? Or do you want to be a soccer player? Like they'll just be able to genetically modify.
Can we modify our own stuff? Or are we too late?
It's a good question. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
In 100 years?
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Like he can run forever.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
And he turns cheesecake into protein.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah. The question is, like, we talked about this before, but like the magic pill, right?
yeah.
Is there a magic pill? If you could just take a pill, so when you work out, you have all of these physiological changes that take place in your body. And there's so many things happening when you work out that nobody even can really wrap their head around how complex this whole thing is, right?
Yeah.
We just know that it's generally good. If you don't overdo it, it's generally good, right? And your body adapts and gets better, gets stronger, gets faster, everything healthier, everything gets better. But so can you put that in pill form? But right now we can't.
Yeah.
Imagine, like, could you just take a pill and get all of those benefits?
They're crazy.
Yeah, like fitness in a pill. But they're like, people are trying to work on that.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure that out.
Probably
You
won't
just
be
take a
long.
pill and like you're a savage.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
You're crazy, and you don't even have to work out.
That would-
But you have the capacity to be able to go out and like run 10 miles and lift heavy weights, and
That'd be
you know,
crazy.
you can do all
Just
that
turn like
stuff.
the human race into a bunch of superhumans. Like,
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
bring it on, aliens.
yeah. There is I don't know if I told you this, but there is a group of people who are starting something called the Enhanced Games. Did I mention that to you?
Mm-mm.
So the Enhanced Games, they're trying to get this started, and I think they've got a bunch of funding already. And it's you can take any drugs that you want.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they're like trying to pull from the most popular sports in the Olympics. So they're trying to compete with the Olympics.
Okay.
And they're going to do it by, number one, letting these guys just take whatever they want. They have to disclose everything that they're taking, and they have to disclose who their doctor is.
Wow.
Yeah, which I think is a really good idea, because then we can maybe learn some stuff.
They're like a bunch of heroin addicts at the starting line, just laying there.
Just all
They're
tweaking
just
out,
laying out.
and they're
They
fast as
come in
hell.
last every time. They never go anywhere.
Yeah. But they're going to incentivize them, because one of the big problems with the Olympics is the athletes don't get paid,
Okay.
which is really annoying. Like, unless you're like the top of the top of the top
That is
athlete
kinda
who's
crazy.
really well known, you get a sponsorship.
Yeah.
But those guys don't get paid. So
Wow.
we could say, I think it's wrong, because these people, these guys and these girls, they spend so much of their lives training to make it to that level, and they get nothing. Like, they're poverty. It's awful.
How much is the gold medal worth, though?
Yeah. But how many people get the gold medal?
It's like 5 ounces. I don't know.
Dude, yeah.
No.
Anyways, I think it's wrong. But so
Yeah.
Enhanced Games, they're gonna pay the athletes. So like, if there's a world record, they get like $1 million. Don't quote me on the numbers, but it's something crazy.
Really?
Yeah. So they're hoping to pull the best athletes into this.
Anybody in there, like some meth head's going to go up there and like.
I mean, you got to perform, right?
Yeah.
Like the idea is you got to win.
Yeah. So it's like the best steroid. They'll figure out what enhances the most, I guess.
Yeah. So I think the interesting thing is that they're going to force these people to disclose everything. So it's all on the table. You can take whatever you want.
Do they get in trouble? Like, how do they not get in trouble?
Well, that's the big question mark, right? Because some of the stuff might be illegal.
Where does this take place?
I don't know yet. I'm not sure. I don't think they have it all worked out.
Undisclosed.
Look up the enhanced games though, because I was on the website. It's going. Like I don't know where they're at on this, but
I gotta watch this. This would be like
it'd be super interesting. And if they can pull like some really good athletes, I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah, right.
It'd be really fun. I'm sure like we could probably speculate that a lot of the stuff is going on already, but when it's under the table, I don't think it's not as good.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough people working on it and there's not enough research being done because it's illegal.
Yeah.
Right? So if we open it up and we let everybody kind of do it and we expose what everybody's doing, like we might find some protocols that are really kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be some anti-aging, longevity stuff,
Yeah.
Like,
man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The only way we're going to find out is to let people kind of play with it and do it.
I can't wait. I'm definitely going to look into that. I want to watch that.
Yeah. The enhanced games. Check that out. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It'll be really fun. I think it'll be really, really fun.
I like it.
Imagine having like, Michael Phelps taking whatever he wants. He's like the fastest guy in the world. Like, I wonder how much faster he could be.
Just pumped full of steroids.
Yeah. And that's to say he wasn't on anything before. I don't know.
Yeah. He didn't look like him.
It's a cat and mouse game.
I mean, can you imagine The Rock pumped full of steroids?
Yeah. He's natural, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think, the interesting thing too is it's become more mainstream, like testosterone replacement therapy and steroids and that. Like people are jumping on that left and right nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it's almost kind of normal now. I think they're almost pushing it on, I believe they're pushing it on men almost too much.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you ever done steroids?
Never.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Shockingly, because my first job, I was around a bunch of steroid guys.
Really?
Yeah.
There was a couple of guys at school that did it.
Yeah.
I remember.
These were all like, I worked with a bunch of semi-pro football players.
Oh, God.
Wow. They were awesome. Like, they're all really cool guys. But yeah, it was just juice heads.
Really?
Oh, my God. We had a lot of fun, man. It was really fun.
That's awesome.
They were really fun people. I had a lot of fun. But I remember the second job where I met my wife. It was an internship.
Okay.
And I'm at this gym and I'm like the folding towels guy, right? So I'm working behind the front desk, cleaning fucking treadmills, right? That's what you do when you get an internship. And this dude comes in and he's the most jacked dude I've ripped.
Really?
So there's like jacked and just like big, but this guy's big and he's like shredded.
Okay.
Looks like a Greek god. I've never seen anyone look this good before.
Really?
Yeah. And when I say good, I'm really not into that. But at that time, I was like 25, maybe.
That's when we met.
Yeah. I was blown away by just like this guy. He sat on the desk. I was like sitting on the chair and like he sat on the desk here and he'd wear these like little short shorts and like his legs were like just ripped.
He's like the Vitruvian man or whatever.
Yeah.
In
like,
the flesh.
Literally like Adonis.
Yeah.
Like, dude. Yeah. And he was like tan and like he just had this physique. And we became friends. Like he was part of this group of people that he didn't work there, but he was friends with everybody that worked there. And we all became kind of friends. And I remember we went to this thing called Summerfest in Milwaukee, which is a music festival. Mm-hmm. And he would walk around with his shirt off. And dude, girls like nonstop would come up to him and be like, "Can I just touch your abs?
Really?
Can I touch your chest?" And he's like, "Yeah." And the dude jumps and just be all over his
Wow.
And I'm like, "I want to be that guy." I want to be you. His name was
so
Jason.
crazy.
Shout out to Jason if you're out there. But I was always weary of doing it, so I never did it. But
You never touched his abs?
I never touched his abs.
Okay.
But I wanted to. But so like a year goes by, I'm still working for the same company. I'm in a different gym. They moved me to a different gym. And this guy comes walking in the gym and I'm like, I didn't recognize him.
Uh-huh.
Right. And he comes in and he goes, "Tony." And I'm like, Jason? His name was Jason. And I'm like, dude, he was like skinnier than I was.
Really?
Yeah, he was like 150 pounds.
Oh, wow.
He looked like a normal guy. And he went from, he was probably 280.
Oh my
He was
God.
jacked. Yeah, he was my height. Like, he wasn't a big
That's
guy.
crazy.
Yeah, and so he walks in, looks just normal. And I'm like, dude. He goes, yeah, man. He goes, I was pumped up on those steroids. He was in the hospital for like 6 months, almost died. Like his liver almost failed.
God.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember all the details, but he had this crazy, tragic story that he
Wow.
barely survived. And I'm like, dude. And when I heard that, I'm like, never.
Dang.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
that's good.
never. And I saw him go from monster to like just this little dude.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, he just looked like a normal guy.
Yeah. What is it about steroids that does that to people?
To be honest, I don't know that much about steroids.
Yeah.
I've never really researched it because it's just never been my thing.
Sure.
So I don't know that much about it.
That's it. Yeah. It's not worth it. That's the point.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and like with USA weightlifting and in the sport of CrossFit, because those are the two big sports that I worked in the most, they would always test.
Yeah.
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 So
To me, it's like, yeah, if you're going to do that, why not just get a bodysuit? You know, like something that looks like muscles.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
At least it won't kill you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think like anything, there's a lot of guys on TRT nowadays. So that's basically just testosterone replacement therapy.
Okay.
And that will give you more muscle, but you have to work out.
Yeah.
It's not a magic pill. You know, you have to work out.
Do you know how long these enhanced games have been going on?
I don't think they started yet.
Okay. So it's like the first time. I wonder how many people are going to die.
Yeah. Seriously. I don't know.
Dude, I'm going to be watching this.
We should probably check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe they have had some events.
We should have like a live podcast during and we'll have our commentary.
Well, I kind of feel like the WWE,
Yeah, right.
those guys were all, and even early MMA, those guys were all jacked, juiced up.
I believe it.
Yeah. It wasn't until they started testing that, you know, if you remember like Ken Shamrock and
They don't test the WWE, do they?
I don't think so.
Surely not.
No, for sure. I doubt it. Yeah, but I know they do in MMA.
If they did, I think that Rock would be in big trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think those guys do. But I know the UFC they do. And they get pretty hardcore.
And nothing against the Rock. Like, I like you.
I remember being we were in Guatemala for the Pan Am Games, and the athlete I was there with, she got second place, so silver medal, and they ran USADA, which is the drug testing organization. They've got people at these events.
Okay.
They ran up to her like as she was coming off the thing, and they're like, "Don't leave our site.
Wow, really?
You got to be in this cup."
That's crazy.
Yeah, like they're
Right at the end.
Johnny on the spot.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can't leave their site
That's cool.
until you do the test.
Wow. Well, that keeps somebody from having an advantage, I guess.
Yeah, and then there's this movie called Icarus.
Okay. I'm not
Dude, if you haven't seen Icarus, if you're into this kind of thing, like I am, they went to Rio de Janeiro. They looked at so the main guy who was in charge of keeping Russian athletes clean.
Tough job.
You know where this is going?
Yeah, it's a tough job.
He was the most corrupt guy. He came to America and escaped and just basically told this story to this documentary guy.
Really?
And explained step by step how Russia cheated in the Olympics.
Yeah.
I think it was the one in Brazil. I think it was Brazil.
Rio.
The story is so interesting, but they were like cutting holes in the wall and passing urine samples between like the level they went to dope all their athletes. And he said every single athlete in the Olympics on the Russian team was doped except for the figure skaters, because the figure skaters, they couldn't figure out, it just didn't work.
Yeah.
They couldn't figure out a concoction for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a documentary?
Yeah, it's really good.
I would love to
Icarus.
watch that.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's really well done.
I'll definitely watch that.
Yeah, super, super interesting. But we went off on a lot of topics there.
I know.
Yeah. Anything else? We covered a lot.
Yeah. Is there anything else we need to cover?
No, I think we're good.
Oh, wow.
I think next time let's get into some of the exercises a little bit more, because we kind of talked about what do you do.
Yeah.
We got 30 minutes,
We did some deadlifts.
some strength exercises.
Power lifts. What else?
So we got deadlift, squat,
Squat.
standing press.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are the three. Want to get strong, master those, get really good at those. Let's throw one more in there, pull up.
Okay.
And once you get good at a pull up, there's even the weighted pull up. So that's another really, really good one.
And you do them differently, like not like the standard slow pull. Like you do do you do the motion pull up like you were showing me that one time?
No, I wouldn't do that. Kipping style. That would be more like competition style.
Sorry.
Just to build strength, just strict pull up.
Just straight pull up.
Strict
Okay.
pull up. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Just build that strength. Once you have a good foundation of strength, the kipping pull up, which is you're talking about that
Yeah.
you see in CrossFit, it's just a very fast way to get your chin over the bar and go into a straight arm. So you can knock out pull ups really, really quickly. And you use the kip, so some hip extension. You can steal some you can be, the bodybuilders call it cheating. Like you can cheat a little bit to cover that distance.
Okay.
Which is okay, because if the only standard is chin over bar, straight arm, and you got a clock running,
Just
you got to get that shit done.
okay.
So you got to go. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. But okay.
And that's a power movement because there's a lot of speed there. So before you get into power activities where there's a combination of strength and speed, you want to have a good base of strength. So before I would have anybody doing like kipping pull-ups, you have to be really good at strict pull-ups.
Okay.
So get those first.
Overhand, underhand.
Either one.
Either one.
Yeah.
All right.
Most practical is double overhand.
That's the
If
hard.
you think of it in like real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard if you don't do it.
Yeah.
But if you do this a lot, like for me, this is hard.
Really?
Yeah, just because I've been doing this forever. You switch it up on me and I'm like, what is this?
They're both hard for me right now.
Yeah. They're always hard.
Yeah.
And I always say like exercise, it never gets easier. You just get better at it.
I like that.
It's so true.
You never get
It
easy.
never gets easy. It never gets easier. You just get better at it. And you get more used to like going into the suck.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's like, let's go. Let's do it again. It's gonna suck. But you're like, you just get used to it. You know, you're like,
Go
all right.
afterwards.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go. All right. So go out, do something hard. It's good for you.
Yeah. Tell us what you did in the comments.
Yeah. Tell us what you did in the comments.
Yeah.
And what lift do you like?
Yeah.
Tell us in the comments. Let us know. Deadlift, squat,
Bench press,
bench press. Don't be a bench presser.
bitch.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.